Good morning, everyone. I am Doris Mold. I am one of the co-CEOs of Annie's Project. We're thrilled to have you here for the grand opening of the Annie's Project Coffee Shop. We're thrilled to be offering this opportunity to get to know some of our board members a little bit better, get some of your questions answered about Annie's Project, and certainly celebrate National Ag Week and Women's History Month. And so we're going to we have our nice little logo here, but we're going to do a stop share here so we can see everybody. And for those of you that are able to have your video on, that would be great. I know that sometimes I have issues because I'm below broadband myself, but anyway, we're so thrilled to have you here today. And just to give you a little rundown of what's going to happen, we are going to just have a brief introduction of the folks from Annie's that are going to be visiting with you today. And then we will have them kind of answer a brief question, and then we'll open it up to you to ask any questions that you may have, get your questions answered. And if you don't come up with questions, then they'll have to suffer from Carissa and I giving the questions out. So I'm sure they'd rather answer all of your questions than ours. And as I said, I'm Doris Mold. I'm a co-CEO. And Carissa and I, and I'll let Carissa speak in just a moment. Carissa and I are co-CEOs, and we're both part-time to this position. And when I'm not doing this role, my husband and I have a small dairy farm. I teach farm and agribusiness management and have an ag consulting business. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Carissa to introduce herself and get the board introduced as well. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Doris. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carissa Devlin, and I am Doris's counterpart in the co-CEO role. When I'm not working with Annie's Project in that role, I am an agribusiness field specialist with University of Missouri Extension. In addition to that, I am actively involved in production agriculture. My husband and I have a row crop operation in northeastern Missouri where we grow corn, soybeans, wheat, and hay. And so it's my pleasure to just introduce our board, which I will kind of let them call on each one of them and let them introduce themselves. And for our board members, if you could just tell us who you are and then what drives you, what is your passion? So I'm going to start with our president of the board, Madeleine Schultz.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all, and thank you for joining us. So I work with Iowa State University Extension and Outreach, and I've been involved with our Women in Ag program since 2008. Amazingly, back in 2008, I like to tell the story of how I was asked to work with the farm management team on their Annie's Project program. So I called my daughter, who is dairy farming in Illinois, to tell her about this. And she said, Mom, just this afternoon, I went down to the Stevenson County office and signed me and Aunt Kathy and Aunt Bev and Grandma up for Annie's Project. So that was quite serendipitous. And, that really does drive my passion because I understand firsthand how impactful this program is to women of all generations.
Thank you, Madeleine. I'm going to work my way around my array of boxes here. And the next person is Carolyn Banks, and Carolyn serves as the secretary of the board.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am Carolyn Banks. I'm the agricultural business management specialist here at Alcorn State University Extension Program in Lawman, Mississippi. I'm passionate about the Annie's Project because it's what I do on a daily basis. I inform, educate, and provide technical assistance to small farmers and landowners in the state of Mississippi. And for so long, women have been behind the scene, playing the role for the farm operation, most time as the financial person, as the bookkeeper. So as time has come on, the women are coming to the forefront. So it's important that women are being educated, informed, and then provide technical assistance for generations to come. So I'm passionate about this. In fact, it's an honor to even be on the Annie's project. So I welcome all of you all, and I'm excited about being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Sam.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sam Schweppe, and I have our family, I'll say, has a dairy farm in Southwest Indiana. I'm a fourth generation dairy farmer, and my sons are the fifth generation on our farm. So agriculture and community service is a big part of our family's history, and we are intending that it's a big part of our future as well. I also work off the farm as the senior account manager for agri-sourcing partnerships at Feeding America. And I work to bring food banks and community partners throughout the ag supply chain. So I'm kind of like the bridge from the farm to the food bank. And I guess like why I want to be involved in Annie's project is I took the classes like in the second or third year that they were offered. And it made such a big difference for me. Just such it helped me to know what I didn't know and what I needed to learn. And it was life-changing. And just to follow up on Carolyn's comments, like just empowering women to really own their role on the farm and to continue to grow that. So I really appreciate being a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Cleo.
Good morning, Cleo Franklin. I'm the CEO and founder of Franklin Strategic Solutions and also the Franklin Leadership Foundation. I also teach at the University of Houston as an adjunct professor and an author of several leadership books. But I have over 30 plus years in agriculture and executive, working for John Deere for 21 years. I was the Vice President of Sales and Operations for Case New Holland for North America. And until 2019, I was the Chief Marketing Officer and Executive Vice President for Mahindra Americas here in North and South America. My passion for Annie's project is really threefold. On my mother's side, farming has been multiple generations, beginning in Walls, Mississippi, and then transferring with a very fierce woman, my great-grandmother, who traveled with her children to the Boot Hill of Missouri, and that's over in of course, if those of you are familiar with Missouri. That being said, on my father's side, my great-great-grandfather, of course, homesteaded and farmed in Arkansas County in Arkansas. So farming is generation for me. Also, it's a career aspect as well. And the thing that really I love about Annie's project is the ability to bring capabilities of new skill sets and also extend current capabilities to not just manage operations, whether you're in farming, ranching, etc., but being able to make sure that those small doors are a lot wider after they engage with our platform. And I don't think there's anything like it. So I'm always about access to building new skills and capability, and also honored to be participating with this group of extraordinary women and fellow board members and colleagues.
Thank you, Cleo. As you can see, we have some remarkable board members on our Annie's Project board, and I always love hearing their stories and hearing more about what drives them and their passions. And unfortunately, not all of our board members were able to be on today, but we do have one more, and we saved her for last because she is a remarkable woman. She is our founder of Annie's Project. And Ruth, when you introduce yourself and what drives you, your passion, if you could also segue into what started you on this path, what led you to create Annie's Project?
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. It's the stories that I hear and what people are invested in Annie's Project just warms my heart every time I hear them. The genesis of Annie's project really starts with me being an extension educator for the University of Illinois for 31 years. And in that 31 years, working with both men and women in the area of farm business management, I just made note of the questions that women would ask me because I was a woman. And over the years, I took those concerns along with the concerns of my mother, Annie, Annette Colegan Fleck, and I put them into this program, Annie's Project. I think that's why Annie's Project touches so many people's lives, is because it's a real program. It's based on my mother's life, watching her and everything that she did to become involved in a farm. I grew up on a dairy farm in northern Illinois, just south of Chicago, actually. And my father came to the farm because of the Depression. And when he moved out to the farm, my mother, who lived in town, always wanted to marry a farmer. And well, here was one living right outside of town. So she married him. And that's, kind of the genesis of this whole program is her life and what she had to do become involved in a dairy operation, my life growing up in that, as well as working for Extension for 31 years. And when you put it together, you come up with a program called Annie's Project. And what it's designed to do, and this is my passion, it is designed to educate women to manage the world that's around them. And we all know that women, when we are managing a world around us, it's not just the bookkeeping and the dollars and the cents, but it's also the human investment, the human emotions that we have to deal with. It's the business decisions as well as the family decisions. So this program was a lot of fun for me to put together. Never envisioned, I'll just take this question right away. I never envisioned this program to go beyond the 1 year that the grant that I wrote to get this program started. Never envisioned it to go beyond that. And I see we've got Anthony Reed from USDA. The USDA is foundational to this program in that is it the 2501? Is that, Anthony, shake your head. Is that for the socially disadvantaged? And okay, that was the source of the funding for this program. And so still going today, still going strong. In fact, it's even growing. And I'm just interested in what other questions that people might have for me when we get to sharing our thoughts about Annie's project, or what people from the outside looking into our organization might want to know about us.
Well, with that, folks, thank you. Thank you, Ruth, and thank you, all of our board members. Now it's your opportunity to ask questions. We have a small enough group, you can either unmute and ask your question, or you can put it in the chat box and Carisha or I will pose those to the folks. But please feel free. This is supposed to be informal visiting, just like we're at a coffee shop, hopefully, kind of a big coffee shop, big table. And we'd love to hear from you. And maybe you can let us know who you are when you unmute before you ask your question, if you would, please. No questions?
I did see where Judith Wright was on, and she had to leave. She said she had to take another phone call. Judith and I go back to the days of when the Chicago Mercantile Exchange used to bring a bunch of us extension people to Chicago and try to teach us about the futures market for livestock. And Judith and I roomed together. So that's, I was kind of hoping that I could keep her online here. I was just going to see how things go. And she's from New York and works with the dairy farmers there.
All right, well, if we don't have any questions yet, how about we open it up with this one for our esteemed board members here. So we're on 19 years. We're going to be celebrating our 20th anniversary next year. What are your hopes and dreams for Annie's as we move forward? And why don't we kick that off with Cleo to start with, and then we'll go around the room with that one, and then hopefully we'll have some other questions from those of you that are gathered. So Cleo, if you'd like to give us a little bit on your hopes and dreams for Annie's moving forward.
Thank you, Doris. You know, my hopes and dreams for Annie's project is to continue to amplify women's voices and empowerment in many different ways, and specifically globally, as well as in those areas that probably would not be defined in the agricultural realm. Agriculture is so broad and big and global. It has no borders, and it impacts every one of us. And last but not least is to make sure that we continue to do as much as we can to facilitate and be a steward of those who are aspiring to farm. And that's really equipping the next generation of women farmers with not just the skills and capabilities, but the passion to do the things that are going to be critical in feeding the world. And so those are the three things that I would basically embrace and continue to challenge with our mission, because it's a fantastic operation, it's a fantastic platform for 19 years, and I look forward to being part of that.
Okay. How about Carolyn? What are your hopes and dreams?
My hopes and dreams, Annie's project, I think is serving maybe like 33 states. I would like to see Annie's project, to cover all states. It's important that we become a part of those states so we can continue to build for people to learn about Annie's project and see the things that we're doing, how they can include that in their everyday lives, especially the women farmers on their operation. And it goes back to making sure that they are being informed, educated, and then they'll be aware of resources that that will become available to them. Not only that, but we'll have the opportunity to interact and share what's going on in each other's state. And that's the great part about Annie's, because we are nationwide, and we're covering different states, because what might be going on in Mississippi may be going something differently somewhere else. So I think we continue to do what we do, continue to educate, inform, and provide the technical assistance, and hopefully that we'll be able to do hands-on things, visit each other's states and do different things as a group. So I think the more we inform and be out there, I think Annie's project is really going to become really a household name. But I'm honored to be a part of Annie's project, as I tell you all the time. I think it's great. I think it gives the women a forefront, because for so long we've always been, behind the scene. So now we're becoming to the forefront. We are the operators, we're the producers. So and we're out there. And as you know, most women, when we put our minds to things, we do the best that we can, do with what we are doing. So I think that's the future of Annie. We're gonna blow up. I'll put it that way. We're gonna blow up. But thanks.
Blow up in a positive way, right, Carolyn?
Exactly.
Great, thank you. Sam, what are your hopes and dreams?
Well, I think just the comments that we've already heard here, like I could echo those, but then also I think about, like, as organizations transition, like Annie's project is going to be 20 years old. That's a very mature organization. So then how do you stay relevant and in connection? Because we know so many things in ag change, and we've had an incredible amount of technology in the last 20 years that have come to us, and like how do we apply all these new tools and these new learnings, and with all the demands that are put on farms today and farmers, and what that looks like moving into the future. So I think it's, and I agree, Annie's project is going to blow up in a very positive way, because it's all about empowering and educating, and that's what keeps people successful, is being the lifetime learners, and that's what this platform really allows. So I think for me, like the future is very exciting, and seeing as new people come in and learn from people who have been in different positions throughout the agriculture industry. It's exciting to me to like watch that transition and that transfer of knowledge and skill. I guess possibly even like through mentoring opportunities, or just all the time, all the new learning that can go on.
All right. Thank you. Madeleine, hopes and dreams.
Hi, everyone. Hopes and dreams are pretty basic because, I just want to see a lot more people be able to take advantage of Annie's Project classes. The impacts from these classes are just tremendous. It does take a lot of dedication to teach and deliver Annie's Project classes. It's, it is not necessarily an easy program. And we have local small group classes, and the impacts from those are just tremendous. But I recognize it takes a lot for educators to put these classes on. So, Annie's Project National, the board is focused on greater development of resources, some stronger educational components, more assistance for our facilitators, and just really bringing people together like this coffee shop today, and expanding the Annie's Project network. So I think all of those three strategic priorities are really going to help us to be able to offer Annie's Project and other programs to more women.
Thanks, Madeleine. And Ruth, your thoughts. You had the vision, the big vision for this almost 20 years ago. What does that vision look like now for the future?
First off, who was it that was saying we're old? Sam, was that you who said that?
Mature.
I said mature with wisdom, because with maturity comes wisdom, not old.
Seasoned, Ruth, seasoned.
All right, anybody else want to try to make me feel better here?
I like seasoned. I like that. I can tell, you can all tell Cleo's our writer, because he always has a great way of putting things in a better perspective. I like that.
I depend on Cleo to filter everything I say. And here's an exercise. Okay, in case you had not noticed, I've not been able to put a video up, but I was trying to think of a way to describe myself. Picture yourself as the black screen out there, and now you have a job that you've got to describe yourself. And oh man, I come up with a million combinations of what I want to tell you I look like, but I'm going to spare you those details, but just kind of put yourself into that frame of mind. There's a blank screen in front of you. Somebody says, well, what do you look like? And practice that. That could be a good exercise for everybody. My vision, of course, and I am seasoned. I'm one of those who I'm not afraid to grow old. My vision is that this program continues with all the new technologies incorporated into it. So that means maybe our 20-somethings, our 30-somethings, maybe getting together in a room is not as necessary to them as it was for some of our first attendees to the class. Although I will say that we are human beings, and that social element has got to be present at some point. So whether we adopt technology to the point where it's virtual for a lot of the learning, and then a gathering together of the social, kind of coming out on a red carpet type thing, to where you actually put the names to the faces. You ever get that warm, fuzzy feeling when you've talked to somebody on the phone forever and then you finally meet them face to face? There is a connection there that is immediate and permanently welded when that happens at that moment. So if anybody else has one of those moments, Madeleine, I got to tell you, the first moment on you was by phone. And Bob Wells, we've not mentioned the name Bob Wells yet. I need to put him into this discussion. Bob Wells is the farm management educator from Iowa. Actually, Oklahoma's his home state. He moved to Missouri for a while and he wound up in Iowa. Did I get that right, Carisha, on his progression?
Yes, that's
And
correct.
okay, Bob Wells is largely responsible for taking this program from Illinois, where we started it, and expanding it out into all these other states around us. And then pretty soon, we're coast to coast with it now. So Madeleine, Bob said, I don't know, maybe what, in 2008, you said is when we hired you. It was probably a little ahead of that. Bob Wells said to me, I have this person I want to hire to bring into Annie's. I think she's going to be really good. And I talked to Madeleine on the phone and I got back to Bob and I says, how old is she, Bob? Is she 12 yet?
I knew you were going to say something like that because people always tell me I have such a childish voice.
You do. But, the adult behind it is actually what actually counts. So I want to keep the child in this program and I want to bring the adult in to put the rules and the practical stuff into this program here. So yeah, that would be my hope, my vision for the program is that we can just continue impacting women's lives. And I know it's still happening because I'm still getting the feedback from, I've got a class going right now here in Illinois. And interestingly enough, in that class, we've got a gal from Sri Lanka. So Doris and Carisha, we're going to be talking about her going back to Sri Lanka and taking Annie's project with her. So there's another future for you, is taking this program and expanding it to the world globe. Because let's face it, ladies, we know we have the answers. We can fix a lot of problems, can't we? I mean, think about it. We have that ability. And I just really want to take it to like that gal from Sri Lanka. She has so many stories that she's telling us from her country that just melts the heart of the women in the room who's with her and supporting her as she's preparing to go back to a country that she would rather stay here, but her visa's expiring and she's going to be going back. So she's going back with a purpose now.
All right. Thanks, Ruth. It's so exciting to hear everybody's hopes and dreams. And I know Carisha and I, being working as co-CEOs, have our own hopes and dreams, and a lot of them have already been talked about. But we're really excited about serving a broader population of women, and we've served about 18,000 women so far. And with the tremendous number of women farmers, growers, and ranchers out there, plus the extended family of many farm families, we have a lot of opportunity to serve women across the country, in U.S. territories, and then hopefully globally as well. And so we're really looking forward to all of that. And we're getting requests. Actually, some of the people that registered for the meeting said, I've taken Annie's 1 and I've taken a second level class. When's level 3 coming? So we have some people that want more of what we have to offer. And that's really exciting for us. And so I'm going to turn it over to Carisha here, and maybe she can tell you a few hopes and dreams that she might have. And then we have another question for all of you.
Okay, thanks, Doris. I really don't know if I can add anything that hasn't already been said by other board members. I think that we're in a like mind as far as what we're wanting to do, as far as the direction. I, of course, would love to have all 50 states doing Annie's project. I would love to expand we've already expanded into one U.S. territory, but into others, and eventually into other countries, because I do think that there's women around the world that can benefit from what Annie's project has to offer. I sometimes I actually lay awake at night and I think about, all of the women out there and what are the different ways that we can reach them, because, there's with the last census of agriculture, there's more and more women that are coming forward and they're being recognized for their role in agriculture. And I feel like Annie's project can be there to support them in whatever role they want to have within agriculture. And what are the ways that we can make sure that we're getting out there and doing that. So Doris, did you have another
Carisha and
question?
Doris. Well, before we move on, Carisha and Doris, that comment that you make, Doris, I know you helped design questions for the census, for the ag census, to get to this issue of women involvement in agriculture. And I've always said, women have always been on these farms. The census never did capture it. We're doing a little better job of capturing it, but that, the idea of, say, 36% are the operator. All right, I think women are 100% invested in agriculture if they are the farmer, if they bought into it, married into it. We are vested in this business. So whether we get counted by the ag census, and Doris, I give you kudos for trying to tease that out, to give us that exact numerator number that we need for the research. But otherwise, the heart side of it says we're there, we've been there, and
Right.
the Lord knows from the beginning.
Well, we all know that. I mean, those of us that are involved in agriculture, those of us that are involved in farms and Annie's project and work with women through whatever role, we know that. But the thing is that a lot of other people who are outside of our circles don't know that we have these women involved. And that's really, the importance. And you're right, the U.S. National Ag Statistics Service, we weren't, the right questions weren't being asked. And they realized that, and we developed some new questions. So I was a volunteer, if you're wondering. I served on the NAS, the National Ag Statistics Advisory Committee, and then also served on some expert panels to come up with suggested new questions for the 2017 census. And one of the questions, we know that there are more women out there that haven't responded to the census, or haven't responded to the questions. And there's a few different reasons for that. One of the things is that one very important question related to marketing did not get included. And I won't get into the technical reasons why that didn't get included in the 2017 census, but I've been assured that it'll be in the 2022. And we know that that is an area where a lot of women are involved. And also we have a lot of younger people in farming operations. That's where their expertise is. That's where they're doing things, especially with specialty crops and things like that. They're doing that marketing work. And so that'll be included. And I think we'll see the numbers go up again in 2022 for both young and beginning farmers and for women farming. But, the thing is that we still have culturally that people are not going to answer in the affirmative. Either it's a social pressure from society in general, or social pressure from their farm family. In some cases, they did, before of course the questions were rolled out, NAS does an extensive job of testing things with thousands of farms. And it was really interesting to see the reasons why women weren't responding. And in some cases, their family members were preventing them from responding, that they had an active role to play. And in other reasons, it was very much a cultural thing with that family. In one case, a woman said, the Bible says that my husband is in charge and that's what I'm putting down. And she wasn't willing to, write down any role that she played in the farming operation. So we have a ways to go, and some people were never going to change their mind. But the reason, it's important to understand how many women are involved from many standpoints, but policymakers look at numbers, right? And they look at who's involved in farming operations. And if we're not counting people properly, they don't get represented in the policies that are made then, because they're looked at as unimportant. And I think it's really important to, see what great diversity we have across agriculture in the United States. And it's important that everybody that's farming, ranching, or growing is counted.
And
So-
I agree.
I do think that there's,
Robin Brumfeld, you made a comment. You want to put your mic on and share that?
Sure. I had a dear friend, Abe Weisblatt, who I think Kellogg Foundation, and like many men, once he retired, he didn't know what to do with himself, so he hung out at Rut every day. And I got to be really good friends with him, and he was very into international work at that time, focusing on getting tenured. But anyway, he told me his PhD thesis, which I think was either in the 40s or 50s, studied why farms fail. And the number one reason is when the farm wife died way back then. So I just wanted to reiterate what you said, that women have always been key to farming. They just don't always get credit. And I always say, really, it's women who invented farming, because if you go back to hunter-gatherers, there's actually more gatherers than hunters. And women were doing that gathering, and occasionally the men got a mastodon or something. And so women created agriculture so they didn't have to gather, so they could stay in one place. And somehow that changed, but women are coming back into play, especially into the Northeast. Most of the new farms that I see are women owned.
I think also sometimes women don't give credit to themselves that they're a farmer. I just, this past fall, I had an Annie's Project class here in Missouri, and one of our participants, she was probably my age, in her 40s, but she had been involved in, she and her husband, they had a poultry farm in the southern part of the state, and she'd have been involved like ever since they'd been married, and did everything, the books, helped market, worked the farm, but she always considered herself, just as her husband was the farmer, she just helped. She was just the helper. And she made a comment on one of our last nights of Annie's Project, that Annie's Project helped her see that she is a farmer too, that she is a farmer. She's not just the helper. So I think that is another area that Annie's Project can help women, is to help them recognize and give themselves the credit for the role that they play.
Ruth,
And we
everybody
also
else
have on our advisory. Oh, go ahead, Robin.
Oh, I just wanted to comment about the work I've done in Turkey. It's not only empowering women, it's empowering men too, because one of the reasons I wanted to take a Annie's like project to Turkey is my daughters have Turkish, and I've been going there for years. And it's a developing country, middle income country, they call it. So everybody looks down on farming because they want to be industrial and modern. And if we don't have food, we don't have anything, and they still have really good food. They don't eat all this processed junk that we eat. So I wanted to empower the whole family. And I found by empowering the women, it did empower the family, because they looked at, I just farm because I don't have anything else to do, but I want my children to be educated and do something else. And I would like to see their children be educated farmers.
And on our advisory committee, we have Rebecca Truxhorn. She just got her PhD on the topic of women identifying as farmers. And you should look that PhD up. Maybe we can send the link out. It's pretty interesting what she found in her dissertation. So, people are looking at it saying, why don't women identify as farmers? What barriers are there that keeps them from identifying? Robin, your comment about the Turkish women, you're right. In America, we look up to farmers. Around the world, in the developing countries, farming is not thought of highly. It's a poverty subsistence.
So we did have a question in the chat box. Thank you, Ruth and Robin, for that conversation. But we do have a question. One of the groups of women that I think has been untapped is our FFA members and college students. Has Annie's considered adapting her program to fit into this age group's schedule in life. And Susan, I can take that one initially. Yes, we have started some talks with some different, we started some actually conversations at National FFA Convention this year, a little bit more serious talks about how we can work on getting FFA members and perhaps some programming for them, as well as expanding to college students. So, and I know that you have an interest, so we'd love to connect with you a little bit further on that. And if anyone else would be interested in that, that will be one of the working groups that will be kicking off in the next month or so. And so look for that if you have an interest in helping out. In fact, if any of you on this have an interest in having an opportunity to participate and help with Annie's project and getting some new ideas generated, we do have working groups, and they're kind of shorter term assignments to work on different issues that are identified that we want to do some investigation and work around. And that might expand then into a larger project from there. But you're certainly welcome to contact Carisha or myself, and we would be happy to help facilitate that, because that's what makes the world go round with Annie's, is having that involvement of a broad group of people.
If I could, for just a few minutes, and Anthony Reed, I'm going to put you on the spot here just a little bit. I know this, the horrific look just came over his face here. USDA's position on helping that's socially disadvantaged. I don't think women are in the socially disadvantaged, but the minorities. Give us a little bit USDA's position about this effort that they have undertaken to, get to everyone who can benefit from the USDA programs.
Okay, well, let me say this first. I will not speak on behalf of USDA in general. I'll just speak on behalf of Anthony Reed, working for USDA in the state of Louisiana. My role here, I'm the state outreach coordinator for Farm Service Agency here in Louisiana. I have about maybe 30 years of experience working with outreach work. My experience with Annie's project come from Mississippi, working with Mississippi State and Carolyn Banks there at Alcorn State University for a number of years. I've been in Louisiana less than a year now in this role, and I've worked for the last number of years. I've seen women in our workshops and our trainings were either equal or that the numbers were higher in our workshop of women participating in these programs. Because I have always been pushing women to take a more positive role in the farm enterprise, not only just in terms of knowing everything, but for when they establish their estate plan or their wills, that they're set up to where it's structured in a way that she's able to manage the farm without her husband, because statistics shows that women outlive men. So I'm trying to make sure that they take not only an active role, but understand everything in terms of how the operation is actually ran and be able to manage her without her husband. Now, in terms of trying to make sure that women are represented and receive the services that USDA provides, we'll be working with LSU and the Annie's Project. I have a conference coming up here in a couple of weeks, Women in Ag, here in Louisiana, which is a big event in the state of Louisiana. So we want to make sure that not only that these program services are made aware to women, but they are taking an active role into applying for these services. Because again, though, they are taking a forefront in terms of how to use the equipment, know how to do the record keeping of it, to be able to run and manage the livestock side of it, run the tractors and so forth. So again, though, not only are we trying to encourage minorities to participate in the program services, but women are a part of that category as well. We want to make sure they are aware of the program services and that they are applying for them and taking an active role. Like you said, I think they in the past have not seen themselves as being in an active position, but I guarantee anyone in any farm enterprise that is a husband and wife there, the woman plays a substantial role into the success and failure of those farm enterprises.
Well spoken, Anthony, because in Rebecca Truxhorn, her dissertation, she interviewed some Black farm women. And one of their situations they found themselves in was they were unable to make any inroads with their local FSA. It was pretty obvious that they were feeling discriminated against. And I don't think it was because they were of a wrong color for applying necessarily, but just that background education. FSA, well, I hate to say this, but it's a pretty bureaucratic organization. It has its forms. I don't know, has anybody ever counted up how many forms USDA has to apply for anything? And just that's very intimidating to someone who comes in intimidated anyway. And then we've got all this bureaucracy to get through. I would love nothing more than to educate that group of people to where they get that form in front of them. They go, yep, I know what this box wants. I know what this means. Here's my application. My plan is good. So Anthony, thank you for those comments. I appreciate that.
I wanted to add to the conversation from Anthony. Thank you, and Ruth, you as well. I see Annie's project as a gateway platform. As I've talked about earlier, making smaller doors bigger for those who are underserved, underrepresented, and looking for new capabilities or extending capabilities. The comments that were made, I think, are very essential. Being able to have the ability to have access to network and know-how, I think is very essential what Annie Projects provides. And that being said, with no bounds, no borders, but if you're looking to be able to do something as simple, but very difficult, and not be intimidated by all of the forms of FSA, or if you're applying for a mortgage, we know what it is. I mean, it could be a very daunting task, but being able to bring that hands-on, experiential from those who know it, those who have done it and been successful at it, and by the way, those who have possibly failed at it, because from failure really sprout the seeds of success. That is the reason why I enjoy being around this project, this platform, and the people that are associated with it.
And I think you brought up a really important point about Annie's, is that a lot of the what happens in those rooms, whether they be virtual rooms or in-person rooms, the magic happens when the women share their experiences and how they got through something, and then they have an educator that might help facilitate that conversation and have more in-depth knowledge on something. And I think that is something that Annie's is perhaps a little bit different, is honoring those women's experience and having them help be part of the educational process and embracing that. So it's definitely a peer-to-peer approach, a real positive way. And we've seen that success for 19 years now, but we also know that kind of approach has also been researched, and that is one of the most successful types of educational processes as well. So it really embraces and honors the knowledge and experience of the women that are participating as well.
And Doris, I'll chime in there too. So Tuesday, I just interviewed a participant in our program here in Iowa. And it was interesting because she said she realized that like so many women are in the same boat, and she just really enjoyed talking to the other women in the class and just felt really comfortable sharing with them about their farming operation. And so that's just exactly what you're talking about. And then that was something really important to her in that class. And then to Ruth's point about Farm Service Agency, I have a great story there too, because at one of the Annie's Project graduation nights, we give the ladies a chance to say what was so important to them, or what was most important to them in the class. And Janice gets up there with this big old smile on her face, and she goes, I went down to the Farm Service Agency office and they told me, well, you're going to have to come back with this, this, and that. And she said, I've been to Annie's Project and I have all of that with me. So she was very proud of herself. So that was just a very cute story.
All right, folks, we've got about 10 minutes left in, for the coffee shop to be open. We've got limited hours here, So we would really love to hear any questions or comments our coffee shop attendees might have that they'd like to ask, or maybe you have a comment or a story you'd like to share, or anything, related to Annie's project, or, Women's History Month or National Ag Week, or whatever you'd like, wherever you'd like to go in these last 10 minutes.
Well, I have a question for everyone with us. We talked about how Annie's project is coming up on that 20-year anniversary. And I'm just curious if people have some ideas for how we should celebrate and recognize Annie's 20th anniversary.
With our shining. I think one good thing would be if we could go back and get all the participants that ever participated in the Annie's project, especially the first group that were trained with the Annie's project. And I think if they would be they could be acknowledged by each year that they entered the training. So I think that gathering would really be exciting. They'll have the opportunity to interact with each other, share their experiences as being a part of Annie's project, and how Annie's project have played a major role in their lives. I think that would be something that would be very enlightening.
Thanks, Carolyn.
It would be a hoot to get that first group together again. I know we lost one to breast cancer, but that would be fun.
I was wondering, also have a question for everybody on. Is there anything that we at the national level could do differently? Or is there something that you feel that we're not doing that we should do? Just, any of your thoughts. This is your opportunity. You have all of us here to hear from you and how you feel things are going in your state and from your parts of the country.
I have a quick comment. Going back to something that Mr. Franklin had mentioned about minorities, African-American people participating in the Annie's project. I would like to see the national board to work closely with the 1880 land grants system to get them to encourage their extension staff to try and make Annie's project more aware to that clientele so they can participate in the program. I think Annie's project is an excellent tool to kind of educate and support women across the board at the county level and state level. But again, awareness needs to happen from the 1880 land grant side to make sure they're fully aware of those programs. And you guys could actually do come in and do a presentation for the AEA, which is the Association of Extension Administrators. Try and encourage them to take the information back to their staff.
Anthony, I really like your suggestion of the AAEA because we're not always aware of where we might need to be to, share information with people. I know this group has, spoken at various events such as the Professional Ag Workers Conference in Tuskegee. We've been there, not real recently that I'm aware of, but we've been there for 3 or 4 years, just, sharing about Annie's project. And I know some of us have worked directly with 1890s, such as Elkhorn and Kentucky State and others. But there's a lot more work we can do. So I appreciate those ideas of, where we might need to go to make an impact on sharing that information about Annie's project.
Thank you, Anthony.
By the way, I see Anthony participating in one of the subgroups regarding the 1890 program, and I'd be more than happy to work with them. I serve on the advisory committee for, of course, Prairie View A&M and a couple other land grant schools, but I think that's an excellent idea.
Other thoughts, suggestions?
Last call, folks.
As Carrie Holcomb said, didn't know anything about Annie's project till she was 43 years old. She wished she could have known this stuff when she was younger. If we had a dime for every time we've heard that, we would not have to fundraise ever again. But the challenge before us is, how do you get young ladies who don't know what's coming at them yet involved in this? So it was a good comment.
Well, and I think with our working group that we're setting up to work with FFA programs and potentially college students, I think we'll get at some of that, Carrie. So if you have an interest in helping with that working group, I put in the chat earlier, Carisha and I, you can contact either of us if you'd like to help out with this. I'm thinking too that we might have an 1890s working group too. I think that would be a good way to kind of source some ideas and get some of these things organized. So do appreciate that feedback. It's really helpful to us. You know, and just to remind us, you know, where we can be and how we can, you know, affect change potentially.
Have you
Any
thought
other? Go ahead, Colleen.
yeah, have you thought about doing a national Zoom and sending it out to all the alumni and bringing, you know, just celebrating women in ag, and either with a speaker or just what are, you know, the impact that women have on agriculture, the future, our role. I just read this Facebook post about women in agriculture, and we are the future of agriculture. And someone says, we've been farming all along. And I will say too, 2 years ago, when we re-energized our Minnesota project here through Extension, we hosted a speaker for the past alumni. You know, we probably had a 20% turnout from all the alumni, which was great, and it helped spur our energy and reigniting Annie's here through Minnesota Extension. So, and then those women all have people that they can share names with, and I know that I would promote something like that within the state of Minnesota. And I think here too, because it is the 20th anniversary, I haven't talked to you yet, Doris, about this, but hosting a keynote speaker across different parts of our state, taking our alumni and seeing where they're most populated, and try to get within a 45-mile radius so that they could come to an event.
Yep.
Is kind of what I've been thinking
So
for us here in Minnesota.
We've got, thank you, Colleen. Those are some great ideas, and we have plans for doing some of what you suggested, but we'll be offering opportunities for you to help us generate more ideas. So appreciate those. And also in response to Carrie in the chat, Carrie, we are looking at high school programs too, FFA programs, so that would help get the word out about Annie's to that younger group that might have missed college. So, so we will definitely be working there too. I don't know, Boris,
So the nugget that I got out of this coffee shop is that Annie's project is the gateway to a woman's world in agriculture, or a gateway drug.
Well, that's one way to put it, Bruce.
Okay, Cleo,
in a happy way.
That
so.
for me.
All right. Well, any other final thoughts? We're now at 10 o'clock, folks. Time to close down the coffee shop for today. We we will be offering another coffee shop opportunity. We're looking at doing these quarterly. So we appreciate you joining us for the first ever, the grand opening, and really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you. Any last comments here from our board or Carisha?
No, just again, I'll express my thanks too. I really enjoyed hearing from you all, and hope to see you. We put in chat the extension, the National Extension Risk Management Education Conference is next week in Omaha. So I hope that some of you are attending that. Perhaps our paths will cross. If not there, I hope in the future that our paths will cross so we can see each other in person.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.